Welcome back guys to part 3 of this video. Now in today's video we will be finishing off everything that I've started in the previous videos. Meaning, like for example, all of the stuff that I've been doing off camera, like painting it, restoring all these parts that were on the car, as even the dash beam right here, instead of leaving it metal so it can rust, I painted it black, well half of it, since I'm still not done working on the other half of the beam. As well as that, making this steering bracket just so it can sit much more further to me, making driving more easier and more comfortable, as well as this bracket and this pedal. Now I will be reinstalling this bracket by here just so I can install everything else and finish welding the floors. That will be the first step that I will be doing just to get the car sorted and done. Now, as you can see here, I've completely moved the junction boxes, the two junction boxes, and as well as the fuse box onto the passenger side beam. Everything fit nicely. I'm not going to have to move anything really. Everything can stay stock. And then I can just paint this nice color of black, and then it can go on. I can wire everything in and then make the car actually look really nice. But so far, I'll just clean up all the spatter welds. So like if I remove these, man, it would be nice if I had a camera that I could put down. But as you can see, I need to clean this up and then paint this entire thing black and wait for it to dry maybe like 1 or 2 days and install it back in the car. I am really happy that I finally got this finished. And here we are looking at the inside of my car. Now, I still have to paint this floorboard, but I just have to weld a piece and then just paint it, and that should be done. But as you can see here, I've installed the beam and as well as the junction boxes and the fuse box. The only thing is I still have to, well, as you can see, clean up all of this mess right here. But it's not that big of a deal. The bigger issue is if I do want to run this setup, I do have to extend where I put my key and as well as the power button. I mean, it's really a really simple thing to do, so it's not that big of a deal, but it's just, well, as you can see, time consuming. And as you can see right here behind it is where I've put all my ECUs, so the car runs and drives good. And I did start the car starts, it drives. There's probably some issues, but I still have to tighten up all the grounds. Since I just put them, there's one here, 2 here, and then 2 all the way back right there. But once I tighten everything up and button all of this wiring up, pretty much loom it up, make it look pretty, run it probably along here, and then continue everything, that should be good. But oh well. So here's a major little update. Now as you can see here, the dash is in here, as well as all the fuse boxes, and as well as pretty much the entire interior. So the steering wheel that I've moved up, I did test it out, it is pretty amazing. As well as the little brace, it does do a good fine job. And as well as everything, the brake pedals, painted and stuff like that. The only thing I'm missing really are the supports, but that's really it. Now along for this wiring right here, hold on, let me shine some light on it. Now, along with this wiring, it is challenging since it's like a bunch of mess. It's not sorted, it's not anything. And now I'm not really going to, I wish I could just take everything apart, sort it nicely, organize it, and I'll be good to go. But that's not the case since I can't really remove it from where the engine bay is. Which is not that big of a deal, but oh well. So I'm just left with this mess. Will try my best to loom it as best as I can, but we'll actually see where this takes me. Alright, so as you can see, I'm doing more progress. I finalized the grinding points for each part. So there's 2 grind points right there, and then there's 3 right there. As well as this beam right here that was not there before. I got one from a junkyard and welded a little nut so it can be more little supports, and then it's a little triangle, which makes it a really good structure point. I mean, these things are really thin, but it's better than nothing, really. As you can see, it does look pretty nice in a V shape. Almost a triangle. Almost. Next, I'm gonna just be working more on this wiring and hopefully getting that finished. Alright, so I'm just gonna stop here. I wish I could really sort this wiring out and make it look really nice and route it where I want it to. But the fact that I really can't remove this because of the fuse box, like I can't, there's a wire in there that's really stuck on there and I have to disconnect the entire brake system in order to pull it out. I'm sure I'll do it eventually and clean this really up, but until then I'll just leave it here, probably hide it up on the glove box or something like that and just let it sit. I still will extend the wiring that I need, but in the meanwhile I'll just put the dash back together. Alright, now, what does that even mean? Anyway, so as you can see, I'm sorry. So as you can see, I've got the dash installed. And as I've figured, it did interfere with the new steering column, so I had to cut a chunk of that out. As well as did cut this off just to make this wiring fit properly. And then I made one more incision that I forgot exactly where I made that incision. But either way, I made 3 incisions. It did bolt up, as you can see. Now I just have to put everything rest in here. So let's do that now. And as you can see, things are back to normal. Well, not yet. I still have to install this dash right here, but I'm just painting everything, so they're probably gonna come really, I don't know when. But also the other thing is, like, these things, they really don't work. I don't know why. I checked all the fuses, they're good. So I really don't know why. Maybe I'll just, I don't know, probably just get rid of these since I already have this, but nonetheless, I am really happy with this. Like I do really like the actual bare look, but I mean, this does look more complete. So now that my radio is not working and I really don't want to bother fixing it, I'm just going to remove this cable right here that runs all the way to the antenna. Right there. Now I'm not going to be taking off the antenna since I will have to weld the roof and I really don't want to. So I will be keeping that. And I do also want to paint this roof, but before painting it, I do need to remove like all of these tabs that aren't necessary for me. And then I will paint everything and make everything look absolutely spectacular, as well as remove some of this glue right here. But let's get to it, remove this, and get back to it. Here is the radio antenna removed. Now I am debating whether I should leave this on the roof or leave it without. Let me go show you how it looks with and without it. So this is so far how it looks. I just dropped it off with some tape so no water gets in. But let's step back. That's how it looks. Now let's put this back on here and see. Oop, gotta remove this tape. Let's see how this looks. There we go. And this is how it looks with the antenna. I'm not sure. I really do like both options, really. I'm not really sure. So while I'm at removing useless stuff that I don't need, I might as well remove all of the trunk pieces. Since, well, I really have a use for them or really care if it looks pretty, as long as it's functional and saves a little bit of weight. Because again, that weight can transfer onto other more things that either enhance the chassis or like performance parts, but either way, it's still a good way. And again, I do put everything in the bag, separate bag, for what I remove from my car, just because I like to know how much weight I actually removed, so then in the future, when I do actually add weights that does something, I feel more happy about it, because I'm not actually just adding weight upon a weight. I'm actually removing stuff, so then in theory, well, not in theory, it does equalize, and the weight of the car just stays the same, but it gets better, if that makes sense, really. And again, it's like the stuff that I said before. With all the sound isolation that I removed, that weighed around 720 pounds. And then totally made up for it for my sway bar that I've put on, which was around almost 7 pounds. So even though I did lose like 0.2 of a pound, I still added something that is beneficial to me. So for example, I took off the sway bar to get powder coated, And without it, I definitely can feel the car not as stable as without it. So I mean, it is a really good thing that I'm just doing this. It's not really more of a weight reduction. It's more of equalizing what I've added already. And I always like saving all of these clips that come in these plastic parts. Just because they break easily and they are like a pain to find because you have no idea what each plastic clip is called. And I can definitely use it for another car if it breaks or stuff like that. I just collect them in a little container and I have them for whenever I need them. Now let's do a little comparison between the steering wheel. Now I am in my Echo. This is as stock as it gets, besides just a short throw shifter. But doesn't matter. What matters is where the position of the steering wheel meets. So as you can see here, my legs are pretty cramped. Even if I go back, that means I can't reach the steering wheel, which means I can't turn the wheel. And as long as you can see on my arm, my wrists are not touching the actual wheel. And that is bad because that's not the right position of where you should sit. Obviously my legs are cramped, I can't move back, that means I can't reach the steering wheel. Now with the Prii, since it's more forward, I can move the seat more backwards, meaning my wrists are where they're supposed to be. They're right here. Driving is so much more comfortable, as well as my legs. They're almost fully extended, but not yet. You don't want your legs to be locked up. But either way, I am just really happy with what I've done. And now we're in the Prius where I've extended the steering wheel. Now as you can see, my legs are nice and extended. They are not fully extended, but I still can extend them fully without locking my knees, which is really good. And as well as if you see, my wrists are directly on the steering wheel. It's fully extended. And I've already driven around with this thing. It is really comfortable. So I'm just really happy that I've really extended this. Although I did have to do some modifications right here, as you can see. But still, it is really amazing that I was able to extend it, and it made driving so much more comfortable. Alright, so let's go ahead and start finalizing this interior. Now the floor is already welded. I just need to sort this wiring and then paint the full floors. And then as well, I'm going to extend any of the components like the power button, where my key goes and stuff like that, since they're too short. As well as removing this passenger airbag. I really don't need it. And as well as the passenger airbag. The reason I'm removing that one is because when I took it off so I can paint my my dash, the airbag was useless because it has a hole in it, like it has a slit. So even if activated, it wouldn't activate. So it's like there's no point in keeping it. So I'm just tossing that as well. But oh well, let's get started and see how this turns out. Now let's go ahead and recap all what I've did throughout the two videos and throughout the entire series. So obviously the main reason is I welded all the floorboards, made the chassis much more rigid. I've also gotten rid of all the sound insulation, which did save me like around 7 pounds or so, as well as gone through the entire interior of the harness, removing anything that I don't need, simplifying it really more. I've also gone ahead and removed the dash beam, simplified it, painted it, and everything like that, making it really nice. Also made a support for the brake pedal, just so it's much more firmer and it doesn't have a spongy feel to it. And remove some of the interior pieces. And lastly, I can't really think of it. And lastly, I've moved my steering wheel. Not only have I simplified the actual shaft, but I've also moved it more backwards, meaning it have a much more nicer driving position. Now here is my dash. I'm just painting it black for it to be really nice. I'll do the same thing to all the other pieces, but for now, this is just drying, so I don't want to interfere with it. Now let's summarize up the total weight of what I removed. Now yes, I did remove pretty much every interior piece just because, like, why the hell not, I've already made things look beautiful right now. I will be painting some of the roof styles, but like black and stuff, but not right now. So all the weight that I removed so far is 64 pounds. Now that is a huge number. Like that is a really, really, really good number. And you might be thinking that, hey, most of this weight came from all these interior pieces. And that's actually false. Most of the weight came from simplifying the wiring, the dash beam, the floorboard, stuff like that. That's where most of the weight came from. Like around 40 pounds is what came from the wiring from the interior car, versus like around 20 pounds from all these interior pieces, which is really good because that means it's not really more of making the car less weight, it's more about me adding upon things. Like I've said it before, me adding more reinforcements to make the car much more stable at high speed. Oops, I almost fell. Like for example, all the stuff that I will be still adding, like a harness bar, that's gonna add weight. Some of the chassis reinforcement that I wanna finalize, that would also add weight. So even though I am removing a lot of weight, I will be bringing that weight back in terms of structural support. So in terms, yes, I am losing a little bit of weight, but at the same time, I will be gaining that weight back in supports, which is really a good thing. But this will be the final video on the series. So thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And for all of the things that I really didn't finish, I'll address later in another video, as in like, oh hey, here's how this looks and stuff like that. But either way, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And I'll see you in the next one.